Well, thank you for coming back. This is my first video, and as promised, we are going to start uh, our a journey with this very fundamental microservice applications that we are going to create. And to create the RESTful application, the norm is basically, and the simplest way is to go to start.spring.io. Over there, you choose your project build tool, your language, which is Java, a Spring Boot version, a group name that makes sense to you, an artifact ID, basically the entity that you are going to be creating. The packaging is the jar file, and the configuration could be YAML or properties, but we choose properties for the easier configuration and demonstration. We also use Java 17, and even though we have higher versions available, but Java 17 is the least denominator that would do. Over here for dependencies, we need to choose the Spring Web. This will create the RESTful features to make them available to us. Once we generate this, click on this generate button, a zip file will be downloaded with the employee name, and we unzip that and be imported into IntelliJ. After opening the IntelliJ, you can go over here, say open, and navigate to that directory. It opens this employee. As you can see, this is a very basic uh, project structure and that we can build on top of it. This is a Spring Boot application. And over here, we have the um, entry point to it, employee application. Let's create a controller over here in its own uh, folder, controller folder, and let's call that a grid. Basically, that the class name, we call it grid controller. And in this grid controller, we are going to create just one simple API with a getter mapping. And the path to this will be simply employee grid. This is going to be a public API. Let's return a string, very simple string, and say basically the name of the method, call that just grid for simplicity, and say return hello, welcome to my first API. After doing that, we are going to compile this. We are going to use the bundled version of Maven over here. To do that, to make that available to us, we need to go to settings. We are going to go to build execution and deployment. Under Maven, we are going to choose Maven home path and set it to bundled version, bundled Maven 3. We can then come over here and extend our project in this Maven view and then compile it like so. After successful compilation, we can right click on this entry point employee application. Before doing that, I noticed there was a simple mistake in creating this controller, and I'm not sure if you noticed that, but this won't work if I run this application. I try to invoke it, which I'm going to do now. So the application is running, and since I exposed this URL on this port on my local host, I should be able to go over here, localhost, and port 8080, and this was the path I chose, and I'm going to get an error message. When I come over here, the error message is basically telling me that I wasn't able to invoke this. And the reason for that was that I didn't specify this as a REST controller. So after making this change, I'm going to recompile. And restart the application basically. We can simply do that over here, as since we know that that's the intended behavior. And now if we refresh that page, we will see, hello, welcome to my first API. Very well. This was an interesting one, and we learned our lesson. There was a lot that goes into this simple foundation. You need to actually know what the controllers are. You need to create and download a Spring Boot app, import it into IntelliJ, build it, run it, and then invoke it. You need to know about different types of mapping. I am assuming that you know most of this stuff, and it will be boring to go over them. This is not an introduction to RESTful APIs. This is actually building an enterprise level application and project. And I won't be boring you with the very basic stuff. And as I explained, you are going to make this more complicated. So in the next video, you are going to add to this. Thank you to stay with us, and I'll see you soon.